Yes, please. It's okay. First speaker for proposition. Ready when you are.
Am I clearly visible and audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. Just to clarify, I'm PM, personal pronouns she, her, and verbal POIs, please, because chat doesn't work anyway. Speech will begin in 3, 2, 1. Pay for your own housing, do the dishes. You can pay for anything if taking care of your child is really rewarding. You don't deserve funding or welfare from the government since everything is perfect anyway. These are the kinds of phrases that opposition turns a blind eye to, and this is the world that our side wants to avoid. What does our counterfactual look like? We would likely go along with the counter narratives that were shot down to this famous run, like saying motherhood might actually be really difficult, right? You have a lot of sacrifices to make, a lot of welfare compensation that you might not get, even if you deserve it. We would rather enforce a much more realistic narrative that calls for more change regarding things like gender impositions or the disrespect coming from the government if you're a mother. This is better because it's more realistic, and even if it weren't, a worry approach to motherhood is basically the best, right? Because choosing to be a mother has lifelong repercussions that ought to be taken into account, right? Two contentions. First argument on how the narrative takes away lots of choices. 3 structural problems here. Firstly, note that the narrative is kind of intuitive, but it turns a blind eye to all the difficult aspects of being a mother. You might have to pay for your child's education, and the tuition might be really expensive. You might have to listen to them hating you when they're like really emotional or something. You might have to quit your vocation at least for a while, and you might have to prioritize over their needs over yourself, right? So by simply saying that motherhood is rewarding in every way possible, it turns a blind eye to all of these problems. So mothers make less informed choices about these issues on a principle level, especially before discussing like whether they want to have a child or not from the get-go, right? Secondly, note that a so-called rewarding experience only occurs when certain scenarios match. Most likely when you have a private caretaker or when you have infinite money. From that alone, we can already know that it's just not true for a lot of people as well, right? Because if you look at middle class or working class families, a lot of them cannot even afford that like diapers or taxes and have to work double shifts just to keep the family eating. It's not rewarding. It might be painstaking and results in constant burnouts. So the narrative itself might not be true in a lot of cases, and the narrative is simply not realistic in this way. Thirdly, is more important. Motherhood decreases choices and career opportunities that one may have. Because when you become a mother, your duties increase a lot, right? You become busier because you have to take care of your child or meet increasing financial demands like taxes or education, and like the list goes on, right? Two implications here. Number one, if you become a mother, you have less time and money to start things like businesses or work, or time to try out and have jobs in companies, right? Rather, most women end up staying with their kids and whatnot instead of pursuing the things that they always desired, right? But number two, even if you do have to work due to financial deficits, most mothers end up like taking less paid jobs because they're extremely stressed and tired from taking care of their child. So hence the potential they could have without children, where they take high paying jobs or pursue higher education like PhDs and diplomas and honor graduates or degrees, all become very far fetched, right? Second speaker will explain why this leads to more stereotypes on gender impositions. Second argument, really quickly, and this is way more important, how it removes welfare and political reforms, or like the narrative itself, right? Firstly, the narrative is really damaging and like cutthroat. It takes on the assumption that motherhood is intrinsically rewarding. Then governments don't have the incentive to provide welfare to single moms, especially, right? Because even if there are counter narratives that attempt to shoot down the false narrative by saying that even if you're a mother, you do not really receive enough welfare from the government, or being a mother is incredibly difficult without the government support that they need, those are taken down by the sunshine narrative that, oh, being a mother is basically the best thing that can ever happen
But
to a woman, right? Yes.
how do you combat the fact that the narrative is not that the being a mother is easy, it's the fact that being a mother is rewarding because you have a sense of accomplishment.
I mean, a lot of women probably don't have a sense of accomplishment when they have a woman. Like the third argument will further explain that, but also the intrinsic value of being a mother might be good as well. But there are a lot of sacrifices that you have to take. You're just basically skirting around the narrative now, right? So this means that even when there are narratives, note that this is because if motherhood is so-called rewarding, governments use this as an excuse to avoid providing welfare. Secondly, why is our counterfactual more beneficial in this case? Because people are now more informed about what rewarding is and what it's like, because they now recognize the actual hardness associated with motherhood. They're now able to cope with these aspects as a whole, right? Governments can now provide incentives to become a mother as well, while people are more aware about what actually happens in relation to motherhood, which they deserve to know. Very proud to propose.
Thank you very much for that speech. We welcome the first speaker for the opposition.
Chair, a second, please. I just need to see through my points and rearrange.
Okay.
Chair, imagine that you have spent many years raising a child, the heir to your family's success, and saying that I think I should not have raised this kid. Although raising a child is hard, you must first understand that nothing is easy in life, but must understand that it is worth it. Well, this is what is being said by side opposition. The first part only. First to say that this is demotivation to others or other mothers around the world. They would no longer want to have children. The population in the world would decrease because there would be less mothers in the world. Families will no longer be there. Mothers may receive a little bit better in life, but it's the experience that we at side opposition want to show to you, Chair, that mothers receive. Now, I will tell you the rundown for my speech. My speech will consist of me telling you the stakeholders, the status quo, the problem inside of government's case, a few key points to why we win this case, and then I will tell you, Chair, exactly why we as side opposition win this case. Firstly, a few pieces of rebuttals before that. They say that narrative turning a blind eye to the hard parts of being a mother. Let me clarify that the narrative is not that motherhood is easy or that it is rewarding in everything. It is the fact that mothers go through up and downs yet still feel accomplished when they see their child happy. They completely exaggerate the motion and makes it look like the narrative of a word of sunshine as a mother don't let them devise you. The second one, a lot of people don't feel accomplishment. This is completely untrue. I'll tell you more later about this, Chair. Firstly, now let me tell you who our stakeholders, the stakeholders on side opposition. The first stakeholder is mother, the second stakeholder is the children, then the status quo. The women are incentivized to be mothers. Thus, we as side opposition would like to keep it that way, unlike side government. I will further clarify this. The problem is that side government wants to change this. There is a major effect in this when this happens, Chair. Now, our burden on side opposition. Why the widespread belief that motherhood is rewarding experience? We shall further clarify and tell you at the end of our speeches why we have proven to you that our burden is actually proven, unlike side governments. Now, onto my factual arguments. We incentivize for mothers to be communicative, to have a child. Now, onto my first point, we strongly support the widespread belief that motherhood is a rewarding experience because it strongly encourages new mothers to have a children. Before I give my analysis, let me first clear saying that the widespread belief is not the motherhood is easy but rewarding and worth it. Now, mothers hear from their friends or families, encourage them to get a child. This will lead more mothers in this world. I firmly believe that this is an exclusive benefit to our side. Isn't debatable, and if Gov doesn't take down this point, they completely lose this debate. But why does this matter? Well, in my speech, I will be telling you about the motherhood provides emotional bonding and personal growth, whereas my DLO will be talking about the shared joint and milestone, and also talking about how governments distinctivize future mothers to have a child. Now, emotional bonding. Now, onto my first point on emotional bonding. As a mother, you feel emotional connection to your child. As a mother, you feel the unconditional love towards your child. This pushes you to keep pushing forward the depth unconditional love between a mother and her child. It is often criticized as one of the most rewarding aspects of motherhood. Building a strong emotional bond with a child and witnessing their growth and development can bring immense joy and satisfaction. This form of rewarding is very rewarding from hearing your child talk for the first time in motherhood. into motherhood.
Time.
Yes, be ups and downs, as I have stated. That
hello.
it is not straight.
Hello.
Now I will conclude. I think we have without even having to call upon my other speakers, we have won this
Hello.
debate. Chair, I think you should side the winning side. Do not side with the side that has lost. With this, I will end my.
Thank you very much. Guys, please keep watch to your time and don't go overboard. After 4:15, I stop writing. Okay. Thank you very much. Welcome, Deputy Prime Minister.
Am I both clearly audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So let me get my timer ready. Okay. So without further ado, I'll to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. The universal narrative that motherhood is rewarding has enforced many harmful pressure towards moms, as the society assumes that being a mom is very great. You're happy when you're a mom. Judge, no, the reality is moms suffer too, both physically and mentally. But if we assume that moms are happy no matter what, the pains and effort all moms have sacrificed for all their children diminishes inside that mask of the idea that motherhood is rewarding, right? So a few points of rebuttals here. The first argument was about population of the world would decrease. So why should mothers sacrifice their careers and their lives for a growing population? You don't have the moral duty, nor do they have the legal duty. It should be the government dealing with such problems, not citizens, especially women. It's wrong for the opposition to ask women to sacrifice everything, including their body and their happiness, for an increasing world population. The reason why women don't have children is because having children are too expensive and requires the sacrifices of one's career. That means the harms of the population is not mutually exclusive. Under our model, where we provide things like welfare programs and aid for mothers, there are for more mothers. So their second point was about emotional bonding is rewarding, but this depends on the mother, right? Not all
Right.
mothers have rewarding experiences is subjective and dependent on the mother. Hence, the amount of stakeholders this argument affect is limited. Yes, I would like to accept the POI. So I'll just move on since I haven't heard no POI from them. So then we tell you emotional bonding is not worth any individual body, mental stability, and the loss of careers. It should be the neutral, uninfluenced choices of women to be mothers, because it's a choice that has lifelong repercussions and requires the sacrifice of everything. So moving on to our third argument. But before I move on, I would like to accept your POI. Okay, 3, 2, 1, I'll move on. So our third argument is about imposition of gender roles. So problem analysis here. There are already pre-existing stereotypes against women, right? Such as they should be stay-at-home moms. They should not work. They're inferior to men. This is problematic because women are treated unfairly in workplaces, college admissions, higher processes, and at home, for example. And this hinders meritocracy and worsens things like the less rights of women and belittling stereotypes, which we tell you is discriminatory and immoral. So I'd like to now explain the mechanisms here. So 3 points here. Firstly, society's stereotypes on women. Secondly, company stereotypes on women. And thirdly, moms losing their identity and self-esteem. So judge, we have to realize that characterizing being a mom only in a good way and covering the sacrifices will emphasize the social narrative that women if women are viewed as always happy and rewarding for being a mom, society will think, oh, they're happy in their home. Why are they out of their home when their main role is to take care of their family? So this perpetuates the narrative that women's primary role is to be a mother. And women are expected to be the primary caregivers of their children, pressured to conform to this idea and just sacrifice their whole life while the society doesn't realize the sacrifices they make, and also view the role of parenting as an easy thing. So women will be seen as naturally better suited to handle the domestic tasks and care of children, and it only exacerbates the problem of stereotypes. Also, because of this narrative, women might be determined if they are good or not by if they're a good mother or not, right? So who they are will be determined just by the impression of their qualified mom in the society, which we believe is unjustified under their world. So second point, so companies will have an impression or stereotype that on that person, and those who prioritize women will prioritize their family over jobs because they're more happy off taking care of their family, even if it's not true in their side of the world. And this will lead to companies not having the incentive to hire women. And then our third point is about moms losing their identity and self-esteem. These stereotypes will ultimately lead to women not having the encouragement to stand up for what they are passionate about because of the fixed gender stereotype existing in the society. Okay, so lastly, the counterfactual mechanism. In our side of the world, we're able to help women gain encouragement to pursue their dreams instead of having to stay at home and sacrifice all their life for their family. In our side, it also helps respect moms' rights and sacrifices that they have made for their children without exacerbating the stereotype and the social gender norms that will lead to irreversible gender norms, and stereotypes are very hard to change once it is accepted by the society. Therefore, I've been never this proud to propose an motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that speech. Welcome, the yellow.
Can you give me a while to fix my rebuttals first?
Okay.
Okay, am I loud and audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Panel, motherhood is love and pain with choice, but side proposition thinks that it's better to work flipping burgers at McDonald's for middle-aged men for minimum wage than caring for their children at home. And side opposition will show why we have easily won this debate without a doubt. I'll be starting with my rebuttals before moving on to my arguments. My first rebuttal is that they say that moms suffer too and they are not happy all the time. But they have clearly ignored our clarification of the fact that the narration is not that the mothers are always happy. It's that mothers do go through problems, but it's still rewarding in the long run. My second rebuttal is that they say that there are stereotypes towards women. This is completely irrelevant because it's mutual, and also pregnant women and mothers are respected on our side, which will be expanded further on. In my third rebuttal, women are expected to provide everything for their children. Yes, this should be the case because Gov just tells the moms that it's too hard and you should give up. Now I'll be moving on to my argument. My first argument is about shared joy and milestones. This is true because when a mother sees their child having their first steps or saying mama as their first word, of course they will feel a sense of accomplishment after suffering for 9 months, countless sleepless nights, vomiting, craving, cramps. When a mother sees their child getting good marks in exams, becoming a good citizen, they feel that their responsibility as a mother has been accomplished. And two, people have fun. Another reason why this is true, because people have fun with their children. They go parks, they do activities. Don't you think it's rewarding if you see your child happy? This is important because with all the pain and suffering by childbirth, sleepless nights, hearing the child cry, don't you think it's quite useless to be one when it's not rewarding? Rejected. Like, for example, why should I do well in my exams if I'm not going to be rewarded for it? What's the use? People think it's useless and would just be tiring yourself in that case. Many people would drop out of school, which in our scenario means less mothers in the future. This leads me to my next argument, which is to give less, which it gives less encouragement to future mothers. This is true because, like the example I said just now, future moms won't have the incentive to have children. You wouldn't want a child when there's no pride in having one. This is important because motherhood is rewarding because it's hard. You don't go to a mother who has 5 children who are crying because they don't get ice cream and saying having babies is so easy. Instead, proposition side will look away and mock them, whereas an opposition side would buy them ice cream and compliment them. And moving on to my third argument is that these children wouldn't feel appreciated. This is true because after sleepless nights of studying, then getting straight A's, on proposition side, they couldn't care less because they think being a mother, shouldn't be there. These moms couldn't care less because they think being a mother shouldn't be their first priority. This is important because children wouldn't care about studying. They wouldn't care less. They would feel doing things they rather enjoy, like doing cocaine or drinking alcohol. Rejected. But mothers wouldn't care. They would rather focus on work or doing chores because they don't think motherhood is important. Now, any POIs? I'll be accepting any POIs.
Your side uses the narrative as an excuse to avoid providing mothers' welfare. Isn't that what makes mothers not want to have children?
Don't you think that motherhood is a rewarding experience? You think that motherhood is useless? You think that it's not you think it's not rewarding? Now I'll be moving on to my way. Sorry, let me find it first. On side proposition, the population will decrease, which affects the status quo, and children will not feel appreciated. But on opposition side, stakeholders will get the benefits, the mothers will feel rewarded, and the children will feel appreciated. In conclusion, panel, we have given you the arguments, we have fulfilled the burdens, and we have shown you why motherhood is actually rewarding. Where on side proposition, the only thing they show is that being a mother is useless, a waste of time, and you think it's easy, which obviously is not, like what I said in my arguments, and I'm very, very proud to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that speech. We welcome the government with.
May I start?
Yeah, you can start.
Sure. He and pronouns for POIs, please. I'll start my speech on my first word. Opposition thinks of it as an obligation to do so because they feel accomplishment, right? Women suffer under burdens under their side. They go through financial burdens and they go through actual literal burdens to care for their children and their family. When it's considered rewarding, it just leads to decreased opportunities for the women themselves. From that, we would rather regret the narrative proposed. Two clashes in today's debate then. First clash, on which side further helps the mothers even more. First, opposition tells us that mothers feel accomplishment and they see that that's an excuse for them to go through all these suffering that we actually proved to you, right? Even if we say that accomplishment is indeed existent, a feeling of accomplishment only happens once in a lifetime. The rest is burden, and rest is overwork. The rest is being burdened for a lifetime. Pay for your own housing, do the dishes. You can't pay for anything. And then you don't even get funding from the government. This is what's going to happen under their side. It's the feeling of accomplishment worth everything you worked hard for, right? Is it worth the education, years of hard work, the money your parents put into you, and the dreams you have just to risk it all for so-called accomplishment, which even might not happen, right? I don't think so. Opposition needs to provide other benefits than the short-term feelings of so-called accomplishment, because it doesn't make sense to sacrifice everything just for that single one thing. It is only the minority of mothers that actually feel the accomplishment as well, right? A lot of times, mother relations with their kids aren't good in the first place, or structural problems like poverty prevents them from feeling this classic delusioning image of mother love, right? Second, opposition tells us that they will be motivated for some reason. The only thing that happens is that they will lose their choices and opportunities, right? If it is considered rewarding and more women join, they're forced to endure this hardship, right? Just like Annabelle already told you, you might need to financially support your child's education. You might have to endure moments when your child expresses strong negative emotions towards you. We don't think that's necessarily worth it, right? Third, rather, we tell you that if you become a mother, then you have less time and money to start things like businesses, or time to try out and have jobs in companies from the first place. Most women have to actually give up their vocations. This is considered a rewarding experience as a whole. We think this just as a whole causes constant burn off for these mothers, right? But second, even if you have to work things like part-time jobs because you're financially unstable, it's just you losing your rights. It's just you losing your opportunities as a whole. Then, second clash on who better achieves better population growth, which is basically like them narrowing the emotion down to that single scope, which we don't think is like necessarily needed, right? The reason why mothers don't have children is not because it feels rewarding, but rather because there's a deficiency of legal and financial supporting systems for parents, right? Most couples choose not to have kids due to financial strains and other structural problems that cannot be masked, nor be solved by feelings of just rewarding, right? Not that our more realistic narrative stems from the problems of the current governmental system. Side opposition's narrative that motherhood is so great is the main reason why government have the excuse to avoid giving single mothers the welfare that they need. They don't get compensation or available political refunds, right? So in the long term, if we enforce a narrative that demands change, like for example, motherhood is difficult because there are a lot of things you need to sacrifice and the government doesn't offer you welfare, right? Before I go on, I'll take the last minute point.
PI?
Yeah, I took it. 3, 2,
Are
1.
you stating
Please
that?
stop wasting. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you stating that you do not allow mothers to have children?
No. I think you're really misreading the motion, right? All of our speakers told you that we're not stopping women from having children, right? We're telling you that they actually need to know the hardships and the burdens before they do so, which was basically like our whole case before, right? We think these governmental systems would probably notice the plummeting birth rate, right? That is why at the end of the day, it's actually more likely that the government wants to offer more funding on our side, whether it's for their education or for their child hot foods, the mothers were deprived of ones, right? So to some extent, if there are less things you need to sacrifice to become a mother, then we give mothers at least one more reason to have a child, which is welfare benefits. So proud to stand by proposition.
Thank you very much for that speech. We welcome the opposition with.
Yeah, just a few seconds to arrange my map. The speech will start. Stopwatch. The speech will start at 3, 2, 1. Chair, on our side, we proudly stand on the side that incentivizes mothers to have children. The only side that tells women that bad things will inevitably happen, but the beautiful part is that you have to go through it in order to feel a sense of accomplishment in the first place. Golf acts like the sacrifices and efforts a mother puts in is the end of the world, but this is so exaggerated and pessimistic because it's these hardships that builds growth and development that is present on our side. It's these hardships that makes the path of motherhood worth it. When you see your child successful and happy, you will feel a sense of accomplishment because your responsibility as a mother is accomplished. They have never engaged with this. They never said why this is not true. And since they have not, it's obviously fair that on our side, we have proven that mothers have accomplishment. They have also lost the debate the second that they misunderstand the motion because they continuously push to you that on our side, we have the case that the mother's life is so easy and it's rewarding all the time. Well, newsflash, it's not. We concede to that. We have conceded to that since the first speaker, and I would have to say this is completely false because my first speaker has clearly stated that it's these hardships that make it rewarding. We concede that mothers have hardships, but we say that these hardships make the experience rewarding. They have completely misunderstood the case. That is why they lose this debate today here. Yes?
Would you throw away everything away for one instance of so-called accomplishment that you haven't even proved how it exists?
Okay, two responses here. Number one, they continuously claim that we do not have any accomplishment. And in which speaker's words, they say that accomplishment is only once in a blue moon or something like that. Well, let me tell you, this is completely false. We have already given you so many examples on the fact that you, as a mother, you have accomplishment. From hearing your child speak his first words, to look at your child walk, to sending him off to college. These are the types of accomplishment that give you the closure as a mother. Now, they also said that mothers go through a lot of burdens and they give everything they have towards the life of their children. Number one, this is so exaggerated and they make it seem like our side is so bad. But don't let them deceive you. They exaggerate our case so much, saying that mothers give everything they have, they give their whole life. Yes, they do give a lot, but they're exaggerating so much, trying to make us sound bad just for them to win. Number one, I want to tell you, do not be deceived. But let me also tell you that they keep saying the accomplishment is not likely. I've already proven that, but I will prove it along the lines too. Now, they also said that they're not banning them from having children, but you guys are disincentivizing mothers from having children. The narrative here that you regret is the main driving reason that mothers have children. Mothers have children because everyone tells them that it's rewarding. Yes?
If the goal is rewarding them, why can't people just go to casinos and win jackpots? Isn't that more rewarding?
Okay, my second speaker has already addressed this. But if you get like a jackpot in the casino, you do not put that much effort into it. When you feel accomplishment, it's the feeling that you put so much effort into this and it comes out as a reward. If you spend a few seconds in a casino and then suddenly you win a jackpot, you're not gonna feel that much accomplishment, right? But as a child, the fact that you put in a lot of sacrifices, the fact that you put in a lot of hardships means that the accomplishment you get out of it is multiplied tenfold. This is the accomplishment that we prove on our side is way better than the delusional accomplishment on their side, because their accomplishment is from them doing nothing, whereas on our side we have true accomplishment. This is an exclusive benefit that is not present on their side. Now it clashes, but which house is better for mothers? Well, on our side we provide them yes, we concede that they have go through hardships, but the fact that they see their child happy, they see their child being provided for, they see their child succeeding, is the type of accomplishment that they need. Yes, there are ups and downs, but that is just life. You can't say that no matter what, if you have a little bit of things that puts you down, you're just going to go in the corner and suicide or something. Yeah, so exaggerated, and because of this sense of accomplishment, whatever they have proposed is completely untrue and irrelevant. That is why we take this debate here.
Thank you very much for that speech. To welcome the opposition reply.
Can you give me a moment, please? I just need to sort out my. Am I audible at this volume?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I think you have seen that side government has definitely lost their case. Their case has already fallen from the very first speaker till now. They do not even see that our point, that the factor that our points still are good, unlike theirs. They just want to make our case seem very bad. They're just focusing on their case and making our case become even worse without us even saying it. Chair, I have already stated that the world's population will decrease if you disincentivize mothers to not have children. This is why we side opposition have clearly won this debate, because our side has better benefited not only the world but also the mothers, because they receive recognition. It's not like mothers do not receive recognition. They receive recognition for getting the world more population. That is why Mother's Day exists. Now, onto a very important clash. Individual opinion, individual experience. Not all mothers experience motherhood the same way, but all mothers feel when they look at their child after 15-16 years of growth that they are very proud of their children. Is not to say that they have not succeeded in doing something very good. They have made a child which is beneficial towards the society in our current world. Chair, this is exactly why we have won this debate. We have clearly fulfilled our burden, because we have stated exactly why mothers should be incentivized to have children, and why to believe that motherhood is rewarding, and why the widespread is amazing for the world. That they do not understand, furthermore, they do not spend their whole life, but after few years, their child becomes more mature. Are you stating that the mother is there every second of the day? This is truly false. Please understand, side opposition, that the mother does not only spend the whole life, the mother also has time for her own things. In conclusion, side opposition has easily won this debate. Panel, if you are still here on earth, unlike government who is on Mars, you would clearly give us the win. With this, I will end my speech.
Thank you very much. Welcome the Gov reply.
Am I both clearly visible and audible like last time?
Yes.
Speech will start in 3, 2, 1. It's not the problem of children not being appreciated. I know it might be difficult because my mom has to pay for a lot of things for me, but I don't feel underappreciated because of that. So in that sense, children are completely irrelevant stakeholders, sorry to their whip. But as of right now, it's the problem of mothers not being appreciated at all. Way too late to respond now, but the government abuses this sunshine narrative to avoid providing mothers with welfare that they deserve. Husbands are fine with giving all the responsibilities to their wives and go along with rigid gender impositions. So if our narrative advocates for change against these injustices, we don't understand why opposition doesn't support this. Question 1, is the feeling of rewarding actually worth it? Opposition claims that the feeling of rewarding leads to emotional bonds and whatnot. First, I think it's outrageous to argue that the short-term feeling of rewarding is worth your body, your hard work, your education, your dreams, and your potential as an individual, right? If I wanted to feel the feeling of rewarding, I would rather go to like a casino and put my college money on red and win, or go fishing in the Bahamas and pull up a 200-pound tuna and feel rewarding, right? Or I would go to a lottery and buy tickets until I get a lot of money. It's not exclusive at all. In fact, winning this round would be rewarding as well. Right now, as I debate to win this round, do I have to sacrifice my dreams to go to Harvard or my dreams to be a lawyer? No, right? Second, opposition's way of thinking is already distorted to believe that women's role is to be accomplished by having a child. What about their jobs? Women don't only have to be recognized for giving birth to someone. They can be recognized for other things as well, right? Opposition is literally the walking, talking evidence of how gender impositions are exacerbated. Third, is the feeling of accomplishment worth everything you worked hard for? Is it worth the education, years of hard work, the money your parents put into you, and the dreams you have just to risk it all for accomplishment of having your child graduate or something? I don't think so, right? Opposition needs to provide other exclusive benefits and short-term feelings of accomplishment, because it doesn't make sense to sacrifice everything for that. A second question: who increases the population? Sure. We say that it was not about the birth rate. It was not about like not having children or having children, right? The only reason why we have a narrative like this is because of the government's negligence. There's like lives in a utopia where they neglect all of these problems because being a mother is so-called perfect, right? In fact, most governments abuse this and refuse to provide welfare to single mothers. So what better way to provide a narrative that addresses all of the injustice for mothers and actually solve this at the end of the day, which would probably give mothers at least one more reason to finally decide to have a child, and it's worth it. Very proud to propose.
Thank you very much for that speech. Thank you everyone for that wonderful debate. It was a great round. Congratulations.